The movie begins in 1999 with a pilot named Petty, who is inside an old toy and antique shop. Petty wants to return a monkey toy he bought for his kids from that same store. The shop owner is surprised by Petty's appearance and asks about his clothes, which are soaked in blood. Petty tells him that the monkey toy is the reason, because every time the monkey beats its drum, someone dies in a gruesome way. As they talk, they're shocked to see the monkey start drumming for no reason. The shop owner tells Petty that the monkey drummed and nothing happened. But right as he finishes his sentence, a pulley in the store snaps, dropping an old axe that was tied to a rope. The axe falls on a statue of a knight holding a rifle, triggering an arrow to shoot out of the rifle and pierce the shop owner's stomach, killing him instantly. Petty breaks down in fear, overcome by rage, and decides to set the whole shop on fire to get rid of the terrifying monkey toy. Years later, we learn that Petty ran away and left his wife Louisa and their twin sons, Bill and Hal. No one knows where he went. At that point, we see Bill standing with his brother, and Hal tells us that Bill is only 3 minutes older than him, but acts like he's 3 years older. That's because Hal is quiet and kind, unlike Bill, who is clearly mischievous and loves playing pranks on everyone. He constantly bullies and annoys Hal, which made Hal start to hate Bill for how badly he treats him all the time. So much so that he imagines throwing a bowling ball at Bill's head while he's sleeping just to get rid of him. Hal also says that whenever he asks his mother about their father, she tells him that he suddenly disappeared without any reason. Later, Bill and Hal go to their old house to collect something left by their father, as they're now grown and have inherited it. There, they find a monkey toy inside a box, with a note asking whoever finds it to wind it up and see what happens. Bill grabs the toy and winds it up to see what will happen. The monkey smiles, raises its hands, then suddenly stops moving. Bill gets annoyed and says the toy is broken, then hands it to Hal. The next day, Bill and Hal go out with their nanny, Annie. Hal takes the monkey toy with him in the car. While they drive, Bill argues with Annie about where to go. Both Bill and Hal want to go to the amusement park, but Annie insists on taking them to a Chinese restaurant, saying they'll love the food there. At the restaurant, Annie is impressed by the chef who's doing cool tricks with his knives, and it's clear there's mutual attraction between them. The chef even makes a heart shape with the food he's cooking. Suddenly, the monkey starts beating the drum, and Hal hears the sound even though he's not near it. At that exact moment, while the chef is flipping knives, he makes a mistake and accidentally hits Annie with one of them, cutting off her head. Bill and Hal are horrified, with no idea how to explain what just happened. At Annie's funeral, Hal sits there, heartbroken, and can't stop thinking about whether the monkey toy had something to do with it, especially because he heard the drum just before she died. After that, Hal continues his life as usual and goes to school, taking the monkey toy with him. When his classmates see the monkey in his bag, they mock him, and even Bill joins in, laughing at him along with the others. But Bill doesn't stop at teasing. After class, he and his friends gather a bunch of bananas and start throwing them at Hal. Hal gets very upset and goes home full of anger. He heads straight to the monkey toy and tells it that he knows it was behind Annie's death because he heard the drum right before she died. He then asks the monkey to kill his brother Bill, saying he's had enough of him and his constant bullying. Then, Hal winds up the toy and waits to see what will happen. The monkey starts beating its drum. At that exact moment, Bill walks into the house and talks to their mother, who's standing in the kitchen preparing food. Suddenly, her head explodes in a horrifying way, killing her instantly. At his mother's funeral, Hal tells us that the monkey kills on its own terms. It doesn't take orders from anyone. He's confused and doesn't understand why the monkey killed his mom instead of his brother. Hal also tells us that the doctors said his mother died from sudden and severe neurological episode that caused her brain cells to explode, a condition so rare it almost never happens. Hal is devastated because he knows deep down that it was his fault she died. After the funeral, he grabs a cleaver and smashes the monkey toy to pieces. He says he then threw it into a trash bin to get rid of it once and for all. Around that time, Bill and Hal go to live with their Aunt Ida and Uncle Chip. Hal tells us that Uncle Chip hates kids, while Aunt Ida is thrilled to have him around. When they arrive at the house, Bill is visibly heartbroken over their mom's death, He loved her deeply. Suddenly, Bill hears a strange sound in his room. He follows it and is shocked to find the monkey inside the closet. He gets angry at Hal, thinking he brought the toy with him. But Hal insists he didn't and tells him he destroyed it and threw it away. He also warns Bill that the toy is cursed and has a demonic power that kills people. A few days later, Hal tells us that Uncle Chip had gone on a camping trip in the forest. While he was sleeping, a massive stampede of horses trampled him to death in a gruesome way. His body was completely crushed and mangled beyond recognition. After that, Bill and Hal put the monkey toy back in its box and throw it down a well, believing it to be the reason behind Uncle Chip's death. 25 years later, Bill and Hal are now adults. Hal tells us that he and his brother grew apart. He also shares that he got married and had a son, whom he named Petty after their father. But Hal is deeply sad because he's been living away from his wife and son for years. He only visits his son once a year, as he's afraid the toy's curse might still follow him and hurt his family. What's even harder is that he never told them the truth, so their relationship is strained. In their eyes, he's an irresponsible and absent father. Because of this, his wife divorced him and married someone else, someone who could actually help raise their son. What haunts Hal the most is that he can't tell them the truth, because they'd never believe him. On top of that, he keeps having nightmares where his mother appears with her face covered in blood, telling him that her death was his fault. He also dreams that the monkey toy picks him up while he's sleeping and throws him into the same well where he tossed it 25 years ago. In another dream, Hal sees the monkey toy trying to strike him with a cleaver to finish him off. Hal tells us that he now understands the monkey only kills evil people. He says it killed Annie, the nanny, because she never truly cared for him and his brother Bill, despite pretending to be kind in front of their mother. Instead of taking them to the amusement park as promised, she took them to the restaurant to meet up with the chef she was secretly involved with. As for Louisa, Bill, and Hal's mother, the toy killed her because she clearly favored Bill over Hal and constantly neglected him, showing no care or attention for him. And Uncle Chip was killed because he never liked the boys and didn't want them living in his house. At the same time, Aunt Ida wakes up in the middle of the night to a strange noise in the house. She grabs a gun and walks toward the sound, eventually realizing it's coming from the basement. She goes down to investigate, but finds nothing. As she climbs the stairs to leave, the staircase collapses beneath her, and she falls into a box filled with fishing gear. She screams in pain as fishing hooks dig into her face. She rushes to the bathroom to pull them out, grimacing in agony. Then she pours alcohol over the wounds to disinfect them. That's when she smells gas filling the house. She heads to the kitchen and leans toward the stove to sniff the burner, trying to find the source of the leak. Suddenly, the burner ignites. Because she had just poured alcohol on her face, the fire catches instantly, engulfing her head in flames. Ida screams and runs out of the house in a panic, but crashes into the wooden post holding the mailbox, killing her instantly. Back to Hal. He goes to pick up his son Petty from his ex-wife for their scheduled visit. But Petty is upset and cold toward him, angry that Hal is always distant and never around. Still, he goes with Hal to a hotel outside the city. Hal plans to take him on a mountain trip to explore the surrounding area. That night, Hal gets a phone call from his brother Bill. He's shocked to hear that their aunt has died, but he's even more disturbed when Bill tells him he suspects the monkey toy is behind it. The way she died felt like an accident, just like every other death linked to the toy in the past. At that moment, one of the female guests at the hotel walks by Hal and starts taking off her clothes to go swimming. There's a short circuit in the electrical system that electrifies the pool water exactly as she jumps in. As soon as her body touches the water, she's electrocuted and her body explodes. Hal is horrified and starts connecting the dots between his aunt's death and this girl's gruesome end. He becomes certain that the monkey toy has returned and that someone else must have found and activated it. He quickly takes his son and heads to his aunt's house. There, they're greeted by a woman named Barbara, a government employee assigned to manage the property after Ida's death. Barbara knows that Hal and his brother Bill are the legal heirs, and she tries to trick Hal into selling the house for a very low price so she can flip it for profit. But Hal isn't paying attention to her. He's focused on finding out whether the toy is in the house. What's worse is when Barbara tells Hal that ever since his aunt died, there's been a surge of strange deaths in town, all of them freak accidents. At this point, Hal becomes certain that the monkey toy is somewhere in the city, possibly still inside his aunt's house. So, he asks Barbara if she found a monkey-shaped toy among his aunt's belongings. She tells him she doesn't remember, and they begin searching the house together. While they're looking, Barbara opens the door to one of the rooms, but behind the door, there's a shotgun that falls from its place. It discharges, and the blast blows Barbara's head off right in front of Hal, who is horrified by the scene. The police arrive soon after and take Hal's statement about the incident. Outside the house, someone is seen standing among the crowd. His hair covers his face, making his features hard to make out. He watches as the ambulance takes Ida's body away. We learn this man's name is Ricky. He used to be a friend of Bill and Hal back when they lived with their aunt. Now, Ricky works as a private investigator and had been secretly following Hal ever since he returned to town. Ricky goes to tell Bill that Hal is staying at their aunt's house and that his son Petty is with him. At this point, the story rewinds to explain what happened. After Bill and Hal threw the monkey toy into the well, Bill returned alone and climbed down into the well, searching for it. But he didn't find the toy, only the key used to wind it up. Ever since, Bill had been searching for the toy for years. He even hired Ricky to help him find it. Eventually, when their aunt died, Ricky managed to find the monkey toy among her things. That's when Bill wounded up again, this time with the intention of having it kill his brother Hal. He believed, with full certainty, that Hal was responsible for their mother's death and that he had ordered the toy to kill her. But the problem was, once Ricky discovered the truth behind the toy, he became greedy. He went to Bill's house and told him he wanted the toy for himself. Bill refused to let him in, saying he already paid Ricky for his help. Ricky offered to return the money in exchange for the toy, but Bill still refused and told him to leave and never show his face again. Enraged, Ricky returned to his home. There, he pulled out his late father's police uniform and took his father's gun, revealing his intent to take revenge on Bill. But instead of heading to Bill right away, he first went to Hal. He threatened Hal and forced him, at gunpoint, to bring his son Petty and go to Bill's house. Once they arrived, Ricky planned to have Petty sneak into the house through the doggy door and steal the monkey toy for him. Hal refused. He didn't want to drag his son into any of this. But Ricky threatened to kill the boy, leaving Hal no choice but to agree. Petty entered the house through the back door as Ricky instructed. Inside, he encountered his Uncle Bill for the first time, who introduced himself and explained what Ricky had done to him and his dad. Bill saw an opportunity. Petty didn't know that he and Hal were enemies, so he decided to manipulate the boy into activating the monkey toy. Bill lied and said that the toy was a family heirloom from his father and gave it to Petty to try out. At that moment, Petty turned the key and the monkey began pounding on the drum. At the same time, Hal noticed a beehive on a tree outside the house. Suddenly, a swarm of bees burst from the hive, shattered the car window, and flew straight into Ricky's mouth, killing him on the spot. Hal was terrified. He jumped out of the car and ran into the house, shouting for his son. When Bill heard Hal's voice, he became furious. Hal was still alive. He tried to get Petty to wind the toy again, but Petty was now scared of him and refused. Bill shoved him and grabbed the toy to activate it himself, but strangely, the toy wouldn't work. Frustrated, Bill tried to force the monkey's hands to bang the drum manually. He screamed at it, demanding that it kill his brother now. Suddenly, the toy emitted a burst of energy that sent Bill flying across the room. Then the monkey began beating the drum furiously, faster and louder than ever before, like it was enraged by what Bill had done. At that moment, Bill looks out the window and sees a ball of fire falling onto the city, engulfing it in flames. Suddenly, the ceiling of the house collapses and the bodies of the people who had died begin raining down on Bill. He's horrified by what's happening, especially when he sees the body of a bride hanging from a rope. Then everything goes quiet. Just then, Hal arrives. Bill tells him that he knows Hal is the one responsible for their mother's death. That's why he brought the toy back. He wanted it to kill Hal the same way it killed their mother. Hal responds that he doesn't blame Bill for what he did, but he explains that he never intended to kill their mother. He admits that when he activated the monkey toy, he wanted it to kill himself, not her, because Bill had made his life miserable, had bullied him for years, and made his childhood a sad and painful time. Hal apologizes to Bill and tries to make peace with him. But suddenly, the monkey starts pounding its drum again. We realize that Bill had positioned Hal in a specific spot inside the house. And it turns out that he had planned this all along, anticipating Hal's visit. Since Bill had always been a prankster since childhood, he had rigged a series of traps inside the house, one triggering the next, leading up to a small cannon loaded with a bowling ball. But instead of hitting Hal, the bowling ball hits Bill in the head and decapitates him. Hal looks on in shock at the bowling ball that just killed his brother. And in that moment, he understands Bill had been deceiving him right up to the end. He never truly forgave him. That's why the monkey toy took Bill's life. The next day, Hal is driving in the car with his son, Petty. He tells him the whole story about the monkey toy, that it had been haunting him since he was a child, first going after his father, and then turning its attention to him. Hal explains to Petty that this is why he had kept his distance all those years, because he didn't want to put his son in danger. But everything that happened helped Hal realize that he should always try to do good and never hurt anyone. Petty is happy to finally understand why his father had been distant, and that his dad does love him, despite what he once believed. At that moment, Hal and Petty agree to keep the monkey toy rather than get rid of it. Petty accepts his father's decision, and the movie ends. If you love movies and movie recaps, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more. Hit like if you enjoyed the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.